Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Dan Crane, and I'm an worship associate here at Horizon. You've come on a very special day. This is our sharing service. And as part of the sharing service, we will have members from the congregation come up and share with us. And in doing that, we'll remember the precepts of the freedom of pew and freedom of pulpit. Freedom of pulpit says you can say whatever you would like to say up here as long as you're sincere and believe in it. The freedom of pews means that you don't have to believe anything that's said up here and no one gets harmed, no harm, no foul. We are excited to welcome you to our worship service this morning, so we're glad to have you with us today, whether you're joining us in person or virtually, whether you're here for the first time or you've been here longer than you can remember. Here at Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular, whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey. You are welcome among us. As a community, we also welcome the sharing of joys and sorrows and concerns. You are welcome to fill out the joys and sorrows slips. They're found in the pockets of your chair in front. If you could fill those out and bring them to in front of the pulpit so that we can read them and share them as part of our service. There is one short announcement today, and please check your order of service for other upcoming events and activities. There will be a celebration of life service to be held for Diana Bracken, longtime member of Horizon, on Friday at 1 p.m. So at this time, I would like to call you to stand in person or in spirit as you're able as we sing our opening hymn, which is number 360 in your hymnal, "We Have Gathered Here." Gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who speak here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matters small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows, and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give again. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
Again, good morning. Why do any of us come to church? I believe the answer is that I'm not going to cry in this service. Not going to happen. I believe the answer is that we have found here a community that welcomes and values visitors and newcomers as much as it values longtime members. It is a community of love and acceptance and kindness. In this community, Each can find comfort in the familiar and support when dealing with the surprises that life deals us, can make new friends and renew old friendships, can share what makes each of us unique and learn what makes others unique, can work with others who want to make this world a better place for all. So come, let us join today in sharing kindness and devout hopes for a better year, a better world. Let us join in comforting and listening to others and sharing ourselves as we are comfortable. Join us in strengthening the bonds of community with people we know and people we do not yet know. Come, let us share kindness and create worship together. And now, I ask Bunny Summerlin to come up and share the words that the Ministerial Search Committee uses at every meeting's Chalice Lighting.
Chalice Lighting for Businessy Meetings by Lee Ken V. Lee Ken V. Amidst the paperwork and preparation, amidst the email and emotions, amidst the getting it done and the pressure of time, can we find a little space for lifting our heads in wonder that we're still here, still striving, still trying together? Can we find hearts accepting all the complexity, space for falling a little bit in love with this faith again, with its tenacity, its capacity, and its audacity? Space to hold what we still believe is possible without hiding it behind disclaimers that attempt to shield our hope from cynical critique. Can we enter this space with a felt sense of our deepest values and the ways we can liberate them to humanize the processes and forms of our decisions and actions, our structure and our governance? We light our chalice in hope that we center love and relationship, creativity and community as we meet, in hope that we can invite into our own hearts and into this space between us so much obvious respect and spacious grace that no matter what happens here, we emerge connected.
All right, and would you join us in saying our affirmation? Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. And now please remain seated if you like, or stand if you like, for our opening hymn, Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. I know we called the other one opening. That was really gathering. Yeah, words. It's been a while since we've sung Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. It's not in our hymnals. The tune is familiar, and the words are projected on the screen.
Coffee, 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 praise the strength of coffee. Early in the morn we rise with thoughts of only thee. Serve fresh or reheated, dark by thee refeated, brewed black by pork or drip or instantly. Though all else we scoff, come to church for coffee. If we're late to congregate, we come in time for thee. instantly. Coffee, the communion of our union, symbol of our sacred ground, our one necessity. Feel the holy power of our coffee hour, brewed black or perk or drip or instantly.
I know there are probably some tea drinkers out there. It works, just the coffee stronger. And so now we come to our time for all ages. A friend suggested that stone soup would be a good story for sharing. But stone soup has been done an awful lot over the last couple of years. And so I started looking for something else, and I found what my friend Jim Sturdivant would call I hope I'm getting this right, members of the Buddhist Sangha will correct me, a koan, a Zen koan. And it talks about Ryokan, a Zen master, who lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. Now, one evening, a thief came to the hut and entered it, looking for something to take away, without, of course, asking permission. But since Ryokan lived so simply, with almost no things, the thief found nothing that appeared to have a high resale value. Shortly after the thief started searching, Ryokan returned home and found the thief, a stranger to him. "Welcome," said Ryokan. "How nice of you to visit." The intruder was surprised and couldn't really find words to answer this. So Ryokan spoke again. "You may have come a long way to visit me, and you should not return empty-handed." He kind of looked around. Again, he had very few possessions, so he wasn't really seeing anything he could give as a gift, and he finally said, "Oh, I know. Here, please take my clothes as a gift." The thief at this point was really confused and rather surprised, maybe a little embarrassed, after all, standing there in front of someone without any clothes on, but accepted the gift of clothes and then left very quickly. Ryokan went back outside and sat on the ground without any clothes, because he'd given them away, and watched the moon rise and shed light over all that mountain scenery, making it all quietly beautiful, says one version of this. Poor fellow, he mused. All I had to give him were my ragged clothes. If only I could have given him this beautiful moon.
We would now like to collect the offering to support the work of this church in our communities and in our world. As we do so, please enjoy today's Offertory, a traditional Scots tune arranged by Mark Surratt and adapted for piano duet by Carmen, performed by Carmen and Rusty.
One other word about the offertory. Carmen was the first person back in like November who said, by the way, on New Year's Day, this is what I'll be doing for the offertory. And about 2 weeks later, as I was trying to think what should be the focus of today's service, it was like, oh, Carmen's doing that. So that's why it's a cup of kindness. Love is the doctrine of our church, and it is with this principle that we walk with one another through our joys and sorrows, especially in the way these things tend to arrive all at once in one tangled blessing that we call life. There are no joys or sorrows in the bowl today, which is fine. It just means that the ones we have we're keeping private. This morning we do still hold in our hearts Elizabeth Gustwick, who is grieving the sudden and unexpected loss of her wife of a number of years, decades. And for those of us who remember popular newscasters, Barbara Walters, who passed away this week. And I think we have to share in celebration with everybody who has made it through this year in one shape or another. We are here in the sanctuary, here at home watching, here not even aware the service is going on, but we are here. And that, I think, is an achievement to celebrate. So beyond these joys and these sorrows that we have named aloud, let us honor those that remain unspoken, that live in the silence of our hearts, the stories of heartache or hope, beauty and loss. For all those places that need forgiveness, may forgiveness be given and received. For the divisions in our nation, in our states, in our families, our lives, may we be restored to a new wholeness. And for the many blessings of our lives, may our hearts be overcome with gratitude. Here comes the tricky part, because I move away from the microphone. So, as I light this candle, let us feel the ways we are all connected to each other and to all beings, knowing that what affects us one affects us all. We have a different pastoral response hymn today. Oh, I skipped the meditation, I'm so sorry. So let us take a few minutes to sit and think quietly, or just sit quietly and enjoy the silence. Each year now, for several decades, between Christmas Day and New Year's Day, we come together to make this sharing service. We bring gifts of hope and inspiration, thoughts, music, stories, a sharing of those intangible, non-physical things that are always with us in our hearts, minds, and memories, and which help us help ourselves and help others through the challenges that life brings us. The lyrics of Auld Lang Syne include the line, "We'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne." In other words, we'll raise a glass and drink together with wishes for continued and future goodwill, friendship, health, kind regards, and remembering the deeds of our past. Today, a little variation on our normal sharing service. Before sharing your thoughts and inspiration, won't you join me in sharing a drink, water or cider as you prefer, located at a table in the back, or it looks like the ushers are going to pass trays around. Thank you, ladies. And a wish for the continuing kindness to be found here at Horizon and carried out also in the world. Thank you. Good health, good fortune, and a happier year in 2023 to us all.
Hear, hear. Now, if you will rise in body or in spirit, as you are willing and able, I'd like to sing "Lean on Me." This song is in the blue hymnal, but the words we've rearranged to be more in spirit with the original artist will be projected here on the screen. Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things that you need borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can carry, I'm right up the road. I'll lay your load when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm going to need somebody to lean on.
And so now, if you do have something that you'd like to share, please feel free to come up, adjust the mic. I'm a little shorter than Dan, so the mic is good for me about here. My friend Rusty, who played the piano, would probably need it about here. Adjust the mic, share with us. We would love to hear your thoughts.
We came here 7 years ago with no social circle, and we found one. Thank you. Anyway, Horizon has made me think a lot about what you value in life and what are the rules of the road. And there are many. I've come up with 3. Figure that's all you need. 1, golden rule. Treat everybody with respect. They're free to lose it, but you start with respect. Number 2 is a hard one. It's the one word. Behave. Everybody knows what it means. It's hard. And the third one is trying to be of some use to society. Too much has been given, much is required.
Last weekend, I was at a Christmas Eve party in the afternoon, and this book that I'm going to share with you was brought up. It was first published in 1997, and it was a bestseller. And at that time, I read it and cherished it. And I liked it so much that as I was reading it, I underlined passages, well, I should say passages, but lines in red ink. And that will help me today because I'm going to read a few of them to you. The book is Tuesdays with Maury. Some of you, I'm sure, have read it. Some of you may not have even heard of it. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Maury was a man named Maury Schwartz, and he was the sociology professor of the author. The author was a man named Mitch Albom, who at the time was a sports writer. I believe he was in his late 30s when he wrote the book. He saw Maury after not seeing him for about 15 years. Maury was on the show Nightline, that was a late-night talk show. The host was a man named Ted Koppel. It was a serious nighttime story, though not like a joking one like who we have now, Jimmy Kimmel and those people. Maury was on there because he was dying from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And Mitch Albom just happened to be watching that night, so he contacted him because they both lived in the Boston area. And Mitch came to see him on Tuesdays for 14 weeks before his demise. He also recorded their visits. So what I read to you will be actual words that Maury spoke. At that time, Maury was in his mid to late 70s. And he was from Poland. His parents immigrated in the 1930s. His father saw the danger they were in as Jewish people, and they were fortunate enough to get out, and they came to America. So here are excerpts from 2 of the visits. The 7th Tuesday is called We Talk About the Fear of Aging. I embrace aging. As you grow, you learn more. Aging is not just decay, it's growth. It's more than the negative that you're going to die. It's also the positive that you understand you're going to die and that you live a better life because of it. If you've found meaning in your life, you don't want to go back. You want to go forward. You want to see more, do more. You have to find what's good and true and beautiful in your life as it is now. And then from the 11th Tuesday, we talk about our culture. People are only mean when they're threatened. When you get threatened, you start looking out only for yourself. You start making money a god. It's all part of this culture. How we think, what we value, those you must choose yourself. You can't let anyone or any society determine those for you. If we saw each other as more than alike, we might be very eager to join in one big human family in this world and to care about that family the way we care about our own. Invest in the human family, invest in people, build a little community of those you love and who love you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Norwood. I'm happy to see all you guys. I'm kind of strange when it comes to religion. I do it myself. I roll my own. And what I've concluded is that I am a neuro person who believes in the brain, and I also believe in spirituality. So I'm a neuro-spiritualist. So this brings together science, and it brings together our heart. And inside our brain, which is like a galaxy of cells, I mean, we're talking about billions and trillions of parts, there is personalities that we have. When we love somebody, that person comes into our brain, and there's a little personality circuit in there, and we understand that person, and they're part of us. We can take the Great Spirit and make the same analogy. This personality is, you could call it God, you could call it anything you want, but it's something inside that is common to all mankind, every religion, everywhere we look. It's this thing that makes us know the difference between goodness and evil. It's the thing that we call love. It's the thing that we call truth. And this is something I think that we should cherish from our previous traditions. And I think we should demote the stupid traditions of, we don't have to go gung-ho over Christmas and, sin and all these other crazy stuff that our previous people were into. We can focus on love. We can focus on this gigantic, huge thing we call our brain, our mind, and bring it forth and make us grow. So this is my theosophy. This is what I believe in. And it's one thing I really like about it, it helps me heal. I used to be a Catholic, and I had this great conflict between the science on one hand and the theology on the other. And they were like this. It was kind of like going back in history where the Renaissance came along. So anyway, if you throw away theology, love and purpose and the good stuff, you throw away who we really are, and we got to keep that. But we also have to be scientific, and anytime we can prove something, through experiment or through thought or exploration, we should do it. Because I believe in God, something that made the whole creation, and that thing that means it made science too. So why the heck does Christianity fight science? It should embrace it. It believes that the universe was made by a spirit or a God. So anyway, I think that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
One of my favorite reverends that have ever visited Horizon is Chuck Freeman. I don't know what it is, but his word choice and his delivery just gets me. And I'd like to read an excerpt from one of his sermons that he delivered in early 2022. It still feels like this year, but actually that was last year, technically, whatever. The impacts on young adults are less documented, but there's evidence that suggests that young adults feel even lonelier and are more socially isolated than their elders. This was true even before the pandemic. And we can certainly imagine that things have gotten worse in the past 2 years, not better. Attendance and participation in religious community is one of the behaviors that provides social connection and protects against loneliness. And it is hard for us to have good information about the effects of the pandemic that we are still living through, but it is good evidence that we are seeing significant increases in people experiencing anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and domestic violence, as well as increased loneliness and isolation. He goes on to say, it is painful that in an era when many people are experiencing loneliness, mental health struggles, and personal crises, and coping with the trauma that we've all survived through this pandemic. It is painful when more people than ever could use a church community to lean on, that more people than ever are not part of a religious community. So I'm really glad that we are all here today. For whatever purpose, whatever brings us here, we're all community, and I'm very grateful for that.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Raines, and I have been a member, associated with the church since, I think, 1986. And I want to tell you a little bit about the beginnings of Horizon, because most of you people in our congregation now are not familiar with how we began. And we began with a meeting in people's homes. And, we kind of got together, we said, boy, we sure would like to, expand. And Marty Robinson, who you may have heard of, was our leader, and she was commissioned to start a church in this area. And she guided us through all the things you had to do. And we decided that we'd get a meeting place. So we found this place called Fun Ed. I don't know if any of you ever remember that, but it was a strip mall, and we had this little room. Well, I remember the first time I went, a friend of mine said, why don't you come to this church with me? It's really neat. And I said, no, I'm a Methodist, And so she kept on, she says, you'd like it, I know you would. So I said, oh, okay. So she picked me up and she took me to this strip mall. I'm thinking of a church, And there's this little room with orange shag carpet and drapes with the dust mites coming down out of them. And I thought, what have I got myself into here, And so there was only maybe 25 people there. And they showed a video of John Buren's. And this just struck me. I said, I can't believe there are people here that think like I do, or at least somewhat what I do. And I listened, I was very impressed with them. And they were very, friendly. And the thing that really got me is when we were leaving, the treasurer said, oh, I forgot the offering. Just put some money in the basket. And I said, at least they're not after my money, because I had no idea what these people were like. Well, eventually we had to get a minister. And it's nothing like the process we have now, right, Beth? We got scrapbooks from people who wanted to come here. And I'll say there weren't many people who wanted to come to Texas. The new people wanted to go to Boston and, New York and that kind of, but, Texas, the Bible Belt, no, not too many people came. But we elected, all of us, there are only about 35 of us, everyone was on a committee. So all of us got together and we looked at the scrapbooks and we decided to call Dennis Hamilton. And he was our minister for, I don't know how many years? 27? Anyone? About 20 years, 25 years. And of course, we didn't have this beautiful building, so we had that lovely room in Fun Ed, but we expanded. We had several rooms now in Fun Ed, and we had DRE come in, and we had the children. My son was one of the first kids there, and it started to expand. Well, then we decided we wanted to build a church, and we had fundraisers and all, and we had a map of where we're going to do this, and it was like woods. This was never here. I guess some of you probably know. This was all woods and wild weeds and things, and we had to go find the spot. Well, I happened to be on the location committee. So we met at the high school down here at the end of this road out here, and a tractor was there. And I said, "What's the tractor for?" He says, "We're going to the site." So I had to get onto this tractor, and we're going like this. I said, "Why are we going out here? I mean, there's nothing here. We're going to the site." So we got here, and there was nothing. We were the trees, and we looked around out here. And I said, "It's really a nice place." But I said, "No one's going to come here." And I said, "Marcia, have some vision. We're going to build a church here." And we did, and people came, and the church got bigger and bigger. We even added an addition on, and the church is like a baby to me. I've seen it from infancy to grow up, and it's changed a lot, and for the better, I think, but it does change, and I'm so glad that, it's so big now. I would like to see more and more people here, so spread the word that Horizon is a great place to come. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Blow, and I've been a member, not as way back as that, but I do remember coming here when the ground broke and being here in the beginning years. And I remember the building you talked about, too, that was in Farmers Branch off Josie Lane. Yeah, I ended up teaching in that building later as a Montessori teacher. It took on a lot of different things for people. I'm glad for this topic this morning on kindness. I think it's such a great one, and that song that Carmen played was so beautiful, and the words were so touching. And I woke up this morning not sure I wanted to come to church, but I decided I would come. David said, "Mary, maybe you would cheer up if you go to church." So I thought, well, I'll start the year out with that intention. And on December 6th, I lost my father. He was almost 91 and a wonderful man. And we'll do his memorial service next Saturday up in Denton at a Methodist church. He was a Methodist minister, in fact, at one time. And so I've been ruminating on memories since his passing, and I wanted to just share a few of them with you. I took a trip with Dad at the end of high school with a student of his who taught geology at Temple Junior College, who had organized a student trip. We took a train ride through the Copper Canyon where the Tarahumara Indians live. The train in front derailed, so our train was stalled for hours. We never reached the fishing village called Las Mochas, but we had another wonderful adventure as children from the village came onto the train and led Dad, me, and others down into a valley to a campfire and serenaded us under a starry sky. There were no city lights in this magical countryside town. We'd never seen so many stars, literally 1 million points of light. We would walk to the local arboretum down Hawthorne Lane. We'd hide in the bushes while he called the ducks in. They'd fly into the canal below. One time we watched over 50 ducks fly in from Dad's duck calls. The last week of his life, I was fortunate to spend a great deal of time with him. We were told on Thanksgiving Day that when he was in the hospital, that he had congestive heart failure. He rallied for several days, and his spirits were up despite the news of his weakening heart condition. We talked about heaven. He thought that his favorite hunting dog, Queenie, would be there to greet him with her tail wagging, along with his brother Stan and his folks and his many family and friends that have gone on before him. Hospice called me 7 a.m. on December 6th to tell me that he had passed. As we drove toward Denton to give my dad one last hug and kiss, David and I saw a pair of beautiful geese over by Medical City of Denton sweep over our car on Interstate I-35. Many knew that my dad had a love for ducks and geese. It was a hopeful sign to us. His soul is soaring to a new place with God. He is now more fully embraced in the love of God, fully liberated and at peace. I'm so thankful for the life of John Paul Eddy. You were an amazing dad. Thank you for letting me share. When I was in the hospital, one day I walked in and a nurse stopped me in the hall before I got in the room, and she said, "You're John's daughter, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "You know, this morning when I walked in his room and started talking to him, I said, I know that voice. I know that voice. It's such a kind voice." And it ended up she was a neighbor of my parents, and her parents had been close to my dad, and she remembered my father's voice. And we ended up that day, she was such a loving nurse, and she only works just occasionally on holidays and stuff, because she's a school nurse during the regular year. And anyway, we had a really special day with her caring for my dad. But it touched me. I think when we lose our loved ones sometimes and we bump into people and they tell us something about our parent that we didn't know, it really means a lot. And so her telling me my dad's voice was kind and that is something she always remembered meant a great deal. So cheers to a cup of kindness this morning.
Good morning. You may know me. I'm the son of Rusty, or at least one of them. There's two of us for some reason. Yeah, it is a backup copy. I would like to give a big thanks. He has been a big part of my life ever, of course, since the day I've grown up, but he's pushed me a lot. He's pushed for personal growth as well. He's the biggest influence of my life, and I really look up to you, honestly. You've inspired me to get into music, to get into coding. You inspired me to get into all sorts of things I would never even think of. But yet here I am, still standing. Music has always been a big part of, everything. It brings people together. It can derive motion from just sounds. As one quote from a song, "People are my religion because I believe in them. People are my enemies and people are my friends. I have faith in my fellow men, and I can only hope that they have faith in me." To me, that hits personal. I love people, and I can only hope so much for them, but at a certain point, you have to kind of say, you're on your own. There's only so much you can do for them. For that, I also have a song to share, which is personal to me. Granted, it does not have any lyrics.
So I was going to go on a bit about who Neil Gaiman is and what the UNHCR is, but it's already 11:30, and look them up. This is a poem by Neil Gaiman who wrote for the UNHCR that's the United Nations High Commission on Refugees, to raise money to keep them warm. And the poem is called What You Need to Be Warm. A baked potato of a winter's night to wrap your hands around or burn your mouth. A blanket knitted by your mother's cunning fingers or your grandmother's. A smile, a touch, trust as you walk in from the snow or return to it, the tips of your ears pricked pink and frozen. The tink, tink, tink of a iron radiator waking in an old house. To surface from dreams in a bed burrowed beneath blankets and comforters, the change of state from cold to warm is all that matters, and you think, just one more minute, snuggled here before we face the chill. Just one. Places we slept as children, they warm us in the memory. We travel to an inside from an outside, to the orange flames of fireplace or the wood burning in the stove, breath ice on the insides of windows to be scratched off with a fingernail or melted with the whole hand. Frost on the ground that stays in the shadows waiting for us. Wear a scarf, wear a coat, wear a sweater, wear socks, wear thick gloves. An infant as she sleeps between us, a tumble of dogs, a kindle of kittens and cats. Come inside, you're safe now. A kettle boiling on the stove, your family or friends are there, they smile. Cocoa or chocolate, tea or coffee, soup or toddy, what you know you need, a heat exchange. They give it to you, you take the mug and start to thaw, while outside, for some of us, the journey begins. As we walked away from our grandparents' house, away from the places we knew as children, changes of state and state and state, to stumble across a stony desert, to brave the deep waters, while food, friends, home, a bed, even a blanket just become memories. Sometimes it only takes a stranger in a dark place to hold out a badly knitted scarf, to offer a kind word, to say, you have the right to be here, to make us warm in the coldest season. You have the right to be here.
We extinguish the flame, but not our commitment to Rise's mission to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. And we do this because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping people to thrive in a just world.
Now, I appreciate Alan pointing out that it's 11:30 now. I had originally intended that we would sing all 5 verses. Did you know there are 5? To Auld Lang Syne, which is on your insert. But in the interest of time, if you would prefer, we could do just the one that we all know. So, Carmen?
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and names of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll drink a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne.
And now, if you would, another Old Horizon tradition, join hands. And if there's not somebody next to you, reach out to an invisible person. They're there.
Thank you for coming out today for bringing friends and family, and for sharing your gifts. And may 2023 be a happy new year for everyone. Shows you how old I am. I believe it can be simply because of the effort each of us make every day to make our world a better place.
One last quick announcement. If you would like to adopt any of the 10 poinsettias that you see adorning our church, please come up to the chancel and take one home after the service. They are free to any good or loving home. Love offerings to support the Flower Fund are not required, but always gratefully accepted.
And now please take a moment to say hello to someone around you, especially someone you may not already know.
And then